Have you ever wondered why your expertise doesn't translate into YouTube clients? You see, I've built YouTube channels across multiple niches, some with top-ranking videos, others with massive reach, and millions of views. After seeing how all of that works behind the scenes, I can tell you this with confidence. If you're a professional, chasing views is usually the wrong goal. What matters far more is authority, trust, and the right clients. So in this video, I'm going to reveal the 8 hidden positioning mistakes that keep smart professionals invisible to decision makers. So you can finally turn your expertise into client inquiries, not just educational content. Now, you might have noticed something a little different about this video. This is my AI twin. You see, I use it because as a professional, my job isn't to spend 10 hours a week filming. It's to think, solve problems, and help clients. And the real value isn't only the face on the screen, it's the thinking behind it. Why do some professionals with decades of experience get completely ignored on YouTube, while others with less knowledge get flooded with client inquiries? Here's what's actually happening. Most professionals assume that showcasing their experience will automatically create authority. So they talk about their credentials, their years in business, their past successes. They think viewers will see all that experience and immediately want to hire them. But experience alone doesn't translate into authority on YouTube, because authority isn't about what you've done. It's about how viewers perceive your ability to solve their specific problem right now. When you lead with experience, you're essentially asking viewers to do the math. You're saying, here's my background. Now figure out if I can help you. But decision makers don't want to do that work. The professionals who get clients understand this. Authority on YouTube isn't built by proving you're experienced. It's built by demonstrating you understand exactly what your ideal client is struggling with and positioning yourself as the obvious solution to that specific problem. Now, before we go further, let me give you something practical. If you're a consultant, coach, or service professional, and you want clients from YouTube without becoming a content creator, I built a short diagnostic called the Expertise to Authority Breakdown. It shows you exactly which part of your experience should become your authority angle on YouTube. So you're not guessing what to talk about or copying creator strategies that don't fit you. Click the link in the description to get your personalized breakdown that you can use right away. What's the difference between content that educates viewers and content that gets you hired? Most professionals don't realize there's a massive difference. They create videos that teach valuable concepts, share industry insights, and provide helpful tips. Their content is genuinely useful. Viewers learn something. They might even leave positive comments. But here's the problem. When you position yourself as educational content, viewers consume your knowledge and then go hire someone else to implement it. You've accidentally trained them to see you as a teacher, not as the person they should hire. Educational content says, here's how this works. But client-attracting content says, here's why this matters to you specifically. And here's what happens when it's not handled correctly. Professionals unknowingly position themselves as educational content when they focus on explaining concepts instead of diagnosing problems. The moment you shift from teaching general principles to addressing specific pain points that keep your ideal clients awake at night, you stop being educational content and start being the obvious expert they need to hire. Why do some professionals get tons of respect and 0 clients, while others get hired immediately? Here's what most professionals don't understand. You can have viewers who genuinely respect your expertise, who think you're brilliant, who even recommend your content to others. But respect doesn't equal selection. When you're respected, people think, wow, they really know their stuff. When you're selected, people think, this is exactly who I need to solve my problem. The difference is positioning. Respected professionals demonstrate their knowledge. Selected professionals demonstrate their relevance. Respected professionals show what they know. Selected professionals show what they can fix. Most professionals are stuck in respect mode. They're proving they're smart instead of proving they're necessary. The hidden difference between being respected and being selected is this. Respected professionals position themselves as knowledgeable, but selected professionals position themselves as indispensable. When you shift from showcasing your expertise to diagnosing the specific consequences of not having that expertise, you move from being admired to being hired. What's the difference between a professional who gets ignored and one who gets immediate attention from decision makers? Most professionals make this critical mistake. They spend their entire video explaining what they do. I help companies with strategic planning. I provide marketing consulting. I offer leadership development. They think if they clearly explain their services, viewers will understand the value. But explaining what you do just creates more questions. The viewer is left thinking, okay, but why do I need that? What happens if I don't have that? How do I know this applies to me? When you explain what you do, you're making the viewer work to figure out why it matters. But decision makers don't want to do that mental math. They want to immediately understand the stakes. Explaining what you do is not the same as demonstrating why it matters, because explanation focuses on your process, but demonstration focuses on their consequences. When you shift from, here's what I do, to, here's what happens when this isn't handled correctly, you stop being a service provider and start being the solution to a problem they can't afford to ignore. Why do professionals who try to help everyone end up attracting no one who can actually pay them? Here's what happens when you talk to everyone. You use broad language like businesses, professionals, or anyone who wants to grow. You think casting a wider net will catch more clients. You avoid being specific because you don't want to exclude potential opportunities. But decision makers don't think of themselves as everyone. They think of themselves as facing very specific challenges that require very specific expertise. When you speak generally, they assume you don't understand their particular situation. Even worse, when you try to appeal to everyone, you accidentally signal that you're not selective about who you work with. And decision makers want to hire experts who are choosy, not desperate. Talking to everyone quietly repels decision makers because broad messaging suggests broad expertise. And decision makers don't want broad. They want deep. When you speak directly to a specific type of person facing a specific type of problem, you immediately signal that you understand their world and that working with you is exclusive, not available to just anyone. If that distinction just clicked for you, I built a short diagnostic that helps you clarify which parts of your experience actually translate into authority and which ones don't. It's called the Expertise to Authority Breakdown. There's a link below if you want clarity instead of guesswork. What's the difference between a viewer who trusts your expertise and a viewer who actually picks up the phone to hire you? This is where most professionals get confused. They see positive comments. They get messages saying, great content. People share their videos. They think, okay, people trust me. So why isn't my phone ringing? Here's what's actually happening. Trust means they believe you know what you're talking about. But trust doesn't create urgency. Trust doesn't make them feel like they need to act now. Trust doesn't make them realize that their current situation is costing them something. You can trust a doctor's medical knowledge without feeling like you need to schedule an appointment. You can trust a lawyer's legal expertise without feeling like you need to hire them. Trust is passive. Action requires something much stronger. Viewers may trust you, but still never contact you because trust alone doesn't create the perception of necessity. When you shift from building trust in your knowledge to building awareness of what's at stake without that knowledge, you move from being a trusted expert to being an essential solution they can't afford to delay. Why do some professionals get millions of views but zero clients, while others get modest views but their calendar fills up with high-value prospects? Here's what most professionals don't realize. YouTube success isn't about how many people see you. It's about how the right people perceive you when they do see you. You can have thousands of viewers who see you as an educator, an entertainer, or just another voice in your industry. They might watch every video, but they'll never think of you when they need to hire someone. You've created visibility without positioning, but perception is everything. If viewers perceive you as the go-to expert for their specific problem, even a small audience becomes incredibly valuable. If they perceive you as someone who teaches general concepts, even a massive audience becomes worthless for client generation. Most professionals focus on getting more eyes on their content when they should be focusing on how those eyes perceive them. The role perception plays in whether YouTube creates clients or just visibility is this. Visibility shows people you exist, but perception determines whether they see you as the solution to their problem. When you control how you're perceived as the specialist who understands their specific situation, YouTube becomes a client generation system, not just a content platform. What if the reason you're not getting clients from YouTube has nothing to do with your content quality? Most professionals think the solution is to create better content. They invest in better cameras, improve their editing, research trending topics, study successful creators. They think if they just make their content more polished, more valuable, more engaging, the clients will start flowing in. But here's the problem. You can have the most helpful, well-produced, expertly crafted content in your industry and still get zero client inquiries, because content quality and client attraction are two completely different things. Great content gets views and respect, but client attraction requires something entirely different. It requires positioning yourself as the obvious choice for a specific type of person with a specific type of problem. You can't content create your way into better positioning. Why fixing this isn't about better content, but better positioning is simple. Content demonstrates what you know, but positioning demonstrates why someone should choose you. When you shift from trying to create better videos to positioning yourself as the essential solution to a problem your ideal clients can't ignore, YouTube stops being a content platform and starts being a client generation system. And once you understand this, something important becomes clear. You don't need more content. You don't need better hooks. And you definitely don't need to turn yourself into a YouTuber. What you need is to be seen differently, because the moment your videos stop positioning you as useful information and start positioning you as the person who solves expensive problems, everything changes. The conversations change, the quality of leads changes, and the way people approach you changes. Most professionals never make that shift, not because it's complicated, but because they've never been shown what it actually looks like. Watch this video next.